Have you ever noticed how your mind refuses to stay quiet, even when nothing is actually happening? You replay conversations in your head. You imagine future situations that haven't even happened yet. And somehow, every small decision turns into a complicated mental debate. What if I said the wrong thing? What if I choose the wrong path? What if everything falls apart? From the outside, it might look like you're simply being thoughtful or careful, but inside your mind, it feels like your brain is constantly searching for problems to solve. Psychologists call this overthinking. And the strange part is, many people who overthink don't realize they're doing it. They believe they're just trying to understand life better. But sometimes, the mind can turn thinking into a loop that never ends. In this video, we'll explore 10 psychological signs that may reveal you're overthinking more than you realize. Some of them are obvious, others are surprisingly subtle. And by the end of this video, you might recognize your own mind in ways you never expected. Thinking is one of the greatest abilities of the human brain. It allows us to plan the future, solve problems, and make better decisions. But there is a strange psychological paradox. The same ability that helps us understand the world can also trap us inside our own thoughts. Psychologists call this rumination. Rumination happens when the brain keeps replaying the same thoughts again and again, searching for answers that never quite arrive. Neuroscience research shows that this pattern is closely connected to the default mode network, a system in the brain that becomes active when we are not focused on the outside world. This network is responsible for self-reflection, memory, and imagining the future. But when it becomes too active, the brain starts looping. You replay past mistakes. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You analyze every detail of every situation. Instead of helping you move forward, thinking begins to hold you in place. And over time, this mental loop can slowly drain your energy, confidence, and peace of mind. Interestingly, people who overthink are often intelligent, self-aware, and emotionally sensitive. They notice details others ignore. They reflect deeply about life. But because their minds are always active, their thoughts can become overwhelming. Psychologists have discovered that people who overthink often share a number of very specific patterns of behavior. These patterns may appear small on the surface, but together, they reveal how the mind quietly turns reflection into rumination. Here are 10 signs you might be overthinking more than you realize. Sign 1. Your mind replays conversations. Have you ever left a conversation, and hours later, you're still replaying it? You start analyzing every sentence. Maybe I sounded awkward. Maybe I said something wrong. Your brain keeps searching for hidden meaning. This happens because your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for analysis and evaluation, remains highly active. Instead of letting the moment pass, your mind keeps reviewing it. Sign 2. You imagine worst-case scenarios. When something important is coming up, your mind quickly jumps to everything that could go wrong. Before a meeting, you imagine failure. Before a message reply, you imagine rejection. This is partly connected to the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. For people who overthink, the brain often scans the future for possible danger, even when nothing bad has happened yet. Sign 3. Small decisions feel exhausting. What should I choose? What if this option is wrong? What if the other option was better? Overthinking turns simple decisions into long internal debates. Your brain tries to predict every possible outcome, but because the future is uncertain, the decision never feels completely safe. Sign 4. You struggle to turn your mind off. Even when you're resting, your thoughts keep moving. At night, your brain becomes even more active. You lie in bed, replaying the day, imagining tomorrow, or analyzing situations that happened weeks ago. This constant mental activity often keeps the nervous system in a mild state of stress, which is why overthinkers frequently struggle with sleep. But the next sign reveals something even more surprising. Sin 5. You analyze your own emotions. When you feel something, you don't just experience the emotion. You analyze it. Why do I feel this way? What does this say about me? What does this mean? This reflective ability is connected to the default mode network of the brain. But when reflection becomes constant, emotions turn into puzzles that the mind keeps trying to solve. Sign 6. You revisit the past too often. Overthinkers often replay memories repeatedly. You think about things you wish you had said, things you wish you had done differently. Your brain believes that if it studies the past carefully enough, it can somehow prevent future mistakes. But the past cannot be changed. So the mind keeps looping without resolution. Sign 7. You seek the perfect answer. Overthinkers often search for the perfect solution, the perfect decision, the perfect response, but life rarely offers perfect answers. And the more your brain searches for certainty, the more uncertain everything begins to feel. This constant search for perfection keeps the mind stuck in analysis. But the next sign might reveal the deepest pattern of all. Sign 8. Your thoughts create anxiety. The more you think, the more tension you feel. Your body reacts to imagined situations as if they are real. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles tighten. This happens because the brain cannot always distinguish between real threats and imagined ones. So thinking alone can trigger stress responses. Sign 9. You struggle to stay present. Overthinking pulls your attention away from the present moment. Your mind lives in two places, the past and the future. Meanwhile, the present quietly passes by. Many overthinkers later realize they spent years worrying about things that never happened. Sign 10. Your mind rarely feels quiet. Perhaps the clearest sign of all, your mind rarely experiences silence. There is always another question, another scenario, another possibility. And sometimes the hardest part is realizing that the mind is creating problems faster than life actually presents them. From a neuroscience perspective, overthinking is not simply thinking too much. It is a pattern where certain brain systems become overly active. The prefrontal cortex keeps analyzing. The default mode network keeps reflecting. And the amygdala keeps scanning for threats. Together, these systems create a loop of analysis, memory, and anticipation. In modern life, where uncertainty is everywhere, this loop becomes even stronger. The mind tries to predict everything, but the future cannot be fully predicted. So the thinking continues. From a psychological perspective, overthinking is often connected to a deep desire for control. The brain believes that if it analyzes enough details, it can avoid mistakes and protect itself from pain. But human life does not work that way. Uncertainty is part of every decision, every relationship, and every path we take. Healthy thinking helps us navigate life, but excessive thinking tries to eliminate uncertainty completely, and that is something no mind can truly achieve. Learning to accept uncertainty is often the first step toward quieting the mind. If you recognized yourself in several of these signs, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In fact, many overthinkers are thoughtful, perceptive, and deeply aware individuals. Your mind is simply very active. But sometimes the greatest clarity comes not from thinking more, but from allowing the mind to rest. Because peace rarely comes from solving every possible problem. It comes from realizing that not every thought requires an answer. So now we're curious. How many of these signs felt familiar to you? Do you sometimes catch your mind looping through the same thoughts again and again? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else realize they're not alone.